Right now at 5, Joplin man faces assault charges following an officer-involved shooting.
And we've got a cold start to the day. We're going to warm up a little. Winds will increase once again. Got to look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, authorities identify 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Volente as the suspect in multiple academic shootings.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Samantha Walker.
I'm Chris Warner. It is finally Friday here in the 4 states. It's December the 19th now.
Which means less than a week till Christmas.
Yeah, less than a week till it's time to open the presents, and much less than a week to get your last minute shopping done. So if you've still got something you're waiting on, or you just didn't know exactly what to get somebody, I know it can be tough sometimes, you know. You're not 100% certain what they want, or maybe it's a family member, somebody you can't get in touch with easily, and they're just now telling you, oh yeah, I could really go for some a new bathrobe. Now's your chance to go out there and do that.
And nothing's more stressful than that moment. I've already had that this year.
Oh, boy.
Most of my family has transitioned to just doing white elephant because we were so sick of that scenario.
Well, okay. See, we haven't done that just yet, but I mean, you got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids too. You know, you can't. I don't know that they would really appreciate that so much. But if you got some last-minute shopping to do, make sure you bundle up a bit. It's cold this morning. It's going to be breezy, and if you want to wait until next week because maybe you just enjoy the insanity, well, you won't need to bundle up whatsoever. And we'll talk about that a little later. But first off, Friday needs to get underway. We're going to start with our live look from downtown Pittsburgh. Get things looking pretty good. The winds finally began to ease up yesterday. It is a brief break in the wind, though, because it will begin to pick back up as we head by mid-morning or so. We'll see south winds start gusting out there. KDR camera 69,400 along 171. Looks good. And a final check here. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. Again, right now we have a light breeze, so it's not insane, but when it gets cold enough, it doesn't take much wind to make it feel a lot colder. We're at 26 in Joplin, 23 in Pittsburgh, and take a look at these numbers out there. These purple colors, they may look pretty, but they indicate very cold temperatures. We got Neodesha and Parsons, the cold spots out there, both at 18 apiece. We got 20s. We do have the warm spot in Jay at 31, and even with that light breeze, it does feel a little cooler in some spots. Neodesha feels like 14 right now, 16 in Stockton, 15 Chanute Independence, so there's a bit of a chill out there. Thankfully, the wind's not gusting. Otherwise, these numbers would be a lot worse. These numbers, though, take a look at this. We are upwards of 40 degrees cooler. No, just straight. Let's just go be honest. We're 40 degrees colder now than where we were 24 hours ago at this same time. That is a big drop in temperatures. But we will start to warm up eventually. Those south winds will help out. Got a few passing clouds out there. Those south winds will start gusting upwards of about 25 to 30 miles an hour. And that'll, again, help bring our temperatures back up. All right. And one thing I know kids are looking forward to, this is the last bus stop forecast of 2025. We are looking at clear skies, 21 heading out the door, 45 though by lunch and recess, 52 as you head home before the holiday break. And we'll have again just a few clouds here and there, those south winds gusting upwards of 30. Highs today upper 40s, low 50s, so near or just a little above normal. Now, tomorrow we'll go well above normal, and then a cold front comes through and we drop again a bit. And next week we really start to warm up. Details on all of that here in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Chris, thanks. Authorities have now charged a man following a police chase that led to an officer-involved shooting. Newton County prosecutors submitted multiple charges against this man, Phil Berkey-Bile III of Joplin. Among the charges, second-degree assault on a special victim and aggravated fleeing. Authorities took Berkey-Bile to a local hospital after suffering non-life-threatening injuries from a gunshot wound in a vehicle crash. He is currently in the Newton County Jail on a no-bond hold. Well, the incident happened Wednesday morning when the JPD officer spotted a suspected impaired driver on Main Street. The chase began after Berkey-Bile drove away following a stop attempt. Once finally stopped, he drove towards the officer, who then fired shots. Authorities arrested Berkey-Bile after he rammed another patrol car. No officers were injured. JPD placed the involved officer on administrative leave during the investigation. Authorities arrest another officer-involved shooting suspect after he leaves the hospital. Wednesday, the McDonald County Sheriff's Office learned this man, Dylan Martinez, the suspect in an officer-involved shooting from last month, was being released from a Springfield hospital after suffering multiple gunshot wounds. However, Martinez had already left the hospital and took a taxi to Bella Vista, Arkansas. Yesterday, Missouri and Arkansas authorities took Martinez into custody without incident. Martinez has multiple charges pending in both Missouri and Arkansas. The officer involved in the shooting, Deputy Mike Hall, was treated and released the day of the incident. We have more details on this case on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Parsons, Kansas police served justice in a case of Christmas chaos. Officers arrested the suspect, identified as the Grinch, for breaking into a local ice cream store to sample different flavors. Witnesses spotted the Christmas criminal in different locations around Parsons before police apprehended him. However, in the spirit of the holidays, authorities released the Grinch from jail and required him to complete community service.
We think that being able to do the community service and learn how to make his heart 2 sizes bigger like everybody else's during the holiday season, that'll help him learn some consequences.
The Parsons Police Department would like to thank the community with their leads and involvement in the case. You can watch the entire Grinch caper story this Sunday night on KOAM News. Well, police have identified the suspect in the December 13th shooting at Brown University that left 2 students dead and 9 others injured. Authorities say the suspect is 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a former Brown student who was found dead by suicide yesterday. Federal prosecutors also believe Valente is responsible for the shooting death of an MIT professor on December 15th. An affidavit lists his last known address in Miami, Florida, though residents there say he does not live at the home. Well, President Trump is moving ahead with an executive order that could expand access to marijuana for many Americans. Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
President Trump signed an executive order marking the most significant shift in marijuana drug policy in decades.
We have people begging for me to do this, people that are in great pain.
The executive order expedites rescheduling of marijuana from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III drug. It does not change federal criminal penalties for marijuana possession or expand access for recreational use, but it does increase medical marijuana research.
The facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered.
The move comes after President Trump touted his administration's policies and accomplishments during a primetime address to the nation Wednesday, focusing much of his remarks on the economy.
Inflation has stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down.
New data released Thursday shows inflation cooled in November. The consumer price index rose 2.7% from the same time last year. But some Democrats say the president used his speech to exaggerate his economic achievements.
For 18 minutes, the president last night tried to convince Americans the sky is green, that trees can walk. He yelled at the camera and said that things are somehow going great, even though costs are up.
Recent CBS News polling finds a majority of people surveyed, 76%, say their income is not keeping up with inflation rates. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump's hand-picked board at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts announced Thursday it's renaming the center to the Trump Kennedy Center. While the Trump administration can use its new name, the Performing Arts Center is a congressionally authorized entity, and only Congress can officially change the name. Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his wife and 2 children are among 7 people killed in a plane crash at Statesville Regional Airport. Plus, a coffee shop in Northeast Oklahoma offers more than beverages, courtesy of a familiar face from the North Pole. And sunny and cool conditions in the 4 states. Chris has a look at your weekend forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch, the NASCAR community is mourning after former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and some of his immediate family members died when a small private jet crashed in North Carolina Thursday morning. This according to a statement from Biffle's family members. Colin Jeffrey reports.
Approximately 10:15 a.m., we got a report of a corporate jet that crashed off the end of the runway on the east end.
Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle, his wife Christina, and their 2 children, Ryder and Emma, were among 7 people killed after a small private plane crashed at Statesville Regional Airport Thursday morning.
It's been a multi-agency response.
According to a release from the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, the post-crash fire has prevented the agency from releasing a definitive list of who was on board, but a statement from Biffle's family members confirms their deaths. 3 other people were also killed in the crash.
The airport now is closed until further notice.
Biffle is a licensed pilot, but it's not yet clear who was flying the aircraft or the reason for the crash.
I've watched racing for a long time, NASCAR, and I followed Greg.
Fans have already left flowers in honor of Biffle's legacy.
The memorial being started here, I think they're going to run out of room.
North Carolina Governor Josh Stein posted on X that Biffle, quote, stepped up for Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene.
Followed them when they did the Hurricane Helene help, and I'm in shock.
Preliminary flight tracking data shows a Cessna Citation 550 left the airport around 10 a.m., traveled about 5 miles, then made a left U-turn back toward the airport. According to FlightAware, the plane did not climb higher than 2,000 feet. I'm Colin Jeffrey reporting.
The NTSB team investigating the crash arrived last night and will provide more details on the incident today. Well, still to come, mobile clinics rush free vaccines to communities hit by a measles outbreak. Plus, sunny and cool conditions in the 4 states. Chris has a look at your Friday forecast. A coffee house in Jay, Oklahoma looks to serve up more than hot beverages, thanks to a familiar face from the North Pole. As KOAM's Ty Parks shows us in today's Doing Good, Mrs. Claus spreads holiday cheer and the joy of giving.
In Jay, Oklahoma, a woman saw a need in the community and stepped up.
People will come to Mrs. Claus sometimes before they'll go to a pastor because I'm less threatening.
Mrs. Claus has a purpose to remind people of the reason for the season.
And it's the whole idea, the spirit of giving. And so the reason Mrs. Claus exists is to teach children there's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. And the first thing they do is when they are brought up here to me as a family, is I introduce them to the story of Christmas. The reason that we give is because God gave the greatest gift, which is Jesus Christ.
There is a selection of gifts that the children can give to their parents, as well as shopping areas to get toys for the children.
Where there are a lot of people that are financially stressed and don't have a way to buy presents for their children. And so we are transitioning our church into an outreach church. We want to reach out in the community, not within totally our physical building, but also we want to go out in the community.
Mrs. Claus Coffee House will be at the Jay Bible Church. People can stop by, grab a coffee, talk to Mrs. Claus about anything. In Jay, Oklahoma, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
Anyone can help the Jay Bible Church or donate if they're interested. Just reach out to the church for more information. Well, now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty cold start to the day. We're about 40 degrees colder now than we were 24 hours ago. We will do some warming. We'll do even more warming tomorrow and much more warming next week. Details in the forecast when we come back. Time now is 5:19. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:21 now on this Friday morning, and it is finally Friday heading into the weekend, last weekend before Christmas. And of course, a lot of kids, I'm sure this is their last day of school for the rest of this year as well. And it's going to be cold. So if you are heading out to school, work, shopping, whatever it may be doing, you may be doing this morning, bundle up because it is much colder. Now, don't worry, though. It will warm back up as we head into the afternoon. We're going to have south winds gradually increasing through the morning, eventually reaching gusts of about 30 miles an hour or so. Could have a passing cloud here or there, but otherwise not a bad day. And our temperatures ultimately near or slightly above normal. Now, Saturday, by the way, it's going to remain gusty tonight. I don't want to leave that out. In fact, winds will actually actually increase a bit out of the south tonight. And we'll have gusts up to 30 as we start our Saturday out of the south. But as we discussed yesterday, there is a cold front that's going to approach as we head into the afternoon. And here it is by noon, almost right along the I-44 corridor. So again, ahead of it, winds gusting to 30. Behind it, winds gusting to 30. Now, as you also see on the future track, other than the wind shift, there's not much associated with this front. Not any really cloud cover, there's no rain, there's no precipitation of any kind. It will bring in slightly cooler air, and again, we'll eventually start to go partly cloudy as we head later into the day on Saturday. Even though it is going to bring in the cooler air, we will have already been warm enough Saturday that temperature drop overnight still, for most of us, will be above normal. As we head into our Sunday, we have a few more clouds out there, and we'll start to go mostly cloudy. We're still watching late Sunday for the potential for an isolated shower too. Future track showing the clouds, but unfortunately it ran out of data right there. But it starts working in after about 8 o'clock Sunday evening. Anything we see is expected to be very isolated, but we could get a couple of showers. Otherwise, we'll have mostly cloudy skies. And the one thing that doesn't run out of data is the wind. And you can see how it starts coming back up out of the south heading into Sunday, setting the stage for a pretty big warm up next week. As for this morning, clear skies, but again, a cold start. 25 out there, but look, we do warm up quickly. And don't get me wrong, like I've said before, 41 isn't warm by any means, but it certainly beats 25 degrees. As we go into the afternoon, I think most of us are looking at highs into the low 50s, some upper 40s, of course, not out of the question. Upper 40s about where our average should be. So I'm saying we're not going to be significantly above normal. We're going to be pretty close, and in some of you, especially our northern counties, may be right on. And those south winds, again, gusting to 30. South winds tonight gusting to 35, and again, just that mix of clear to mostly clear skies. Now, this is not a typo. This is not broken. This is exactly what's expected. Now, in your area, it may vary a bit on the exact numbers, but once we reach sunset and those south winds begin increasing, temperatures steady out. They stop moving. They might go up or down a degree over several hours, but they're going to level out, and we're looking about the mid-40s as we go overnight. And that, again, helps us warm up tomorrow into the upper 50s and low 60s. Mid-30s tomorrow night, low 50s return on Sunday, and we could get that evening shower or two. Then that's what sets the stage for this business here, which is not December at all. We start climbing upper 60s, mid-70s, Christmas Eve. I don't know what that's about. All I know is that it's going to get very warm. Mid-70s Christmas Eve, upper 60s, low 70s on Christmas Day, and then maybe a couple of showers by next Saturday. It's like Saturday looking to be our next best possibility of some actual rain across the area, but it will not feel like Christmas at all next week as we get into, again, the upper 60s and low to mid-70s. Let's check your forecast. We're going to toss it over to Samantha now with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, lawmakers are heading home for the holidays without fixing soaring healthcare costs, and the message on Capitol Hill is to wait until next year. Well, some Republicans broke ranks to support renewing Obamacare subsidies, signaling frustration with GOP leadership. Meanwhile, Democrats remain skeptical, warning the damage may be irreversible after January 1st. Some Republicans want a complete overhaul in 2026, hoping special rules can bypass a Senate filibuster for a bipartisan bill. Well, people with depression and anxiety face a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, and a new study looks at the reason. Research from Mass General Brigham shows that stress-related brain activity caused by depression and anxiety is linked to heart disease. Researchers say that findings reinforce that mental health and physical health are closely connected, and doctors and patients need to address both. Women may face a more difficult recovery after a stroke than men. A University of Michigan study found that within the first year following a stroke, female patients struggled more with daily tasks like eating, dressing, driving, and cooking. There were no gender differences in other aspects of stroke recovery, including communication, neurological function, and performing simple movements. Well, nicotine is bad for your heart and circulatory system no matter how you consume it. Research published in the European Heart Journal found whether nicotine is vaped, smoked, or from a pouch, it's toxic to the heart and blood vessels. The information comes at a time when more young people are trying nicotine, fueled by the popularity of e-cigarettes. Well, cases of measles are still popping up across South Carolina, putting unvaccinated children at risk. This is the newest hotspot in the U.S. for the highly contagious and potentially dangerous disease. Skylar Henry has the latest on the growing threat.
Across South Carolina, mobile health units have been offering free measles vaccines since October as state health officials respond to a growing outbreak. 135 people have been infected, and more than 168 people are currently in quarantine in the upstate region. State health leaders say declining immunization rates are fueling the spread.
When we lose the protection of vaccines against vaccine-preventable diseases, we are going to see the surge that we're seeing now.
The impact is being felt most in Spartanburg County, where vaccine rates are among the lowest in the state.
Parents are fearful.
Dr. Robin LaCroix is a pediatric infectious disease specialist and says the risk could grow as people travel for the holidays.
Because this virus is so contagious to people who don't have immunity, that it's very easily spread.
The CDC has tracked nearly 2,000 confirmed cases across 43 states this year, the most on record since the disease was declared eradicated more than 2 decades ago. 3 people have died.
So then how does this get better?
The way that we are able to control these vaccine-preventable diseases is by getting high levels of protection within a community.
For the first time in more than 2 decades, the U.S. is at risk of losing its measles elimination status, a warning sign that outbreaks like this one are becoming more frequent and harder to contain.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, property taxes are due soon in Missouri and Kansas. What you need to know.
And we've got a very cold start out there, especially compared to yesterday. We will warm up a bit and the gusty winds return. Look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, business minds come together in Joplin to prepare for 2026 and the growing influence of AI.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:31. I'm Samantha Walker.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Friday, December the 19th, finally Friday, last weekend before Christmas, less than a week before the holiday itself, more than less than a week, and last day of shopping. That's it. That's where I was going.
This is really when the season starts to really ramp up, I feel like.
Yeah, it's going to get really busy. As if it hasn't been busy enough, it's going to get very busy, especially heading into this weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
with folks being
leave
off work.
and immediately travel.
So it's going to be wild across the area. So hopefully you're prepared. If you're staying local, probably not a bad thing. So our family, we're all from this area, and so we don't have to travel very far. So that's always a good thing, and you don't have to wake up super early, plan days in advance and all that business. But if you are, the weather, at least in our region, going to be good for that type of travel, and that includes today, although it's going to be a bit breezy. We're going to start with a live look downtown Pittsburgh, and there it is. We have clear skies this morning and cold temperatures. Our camera 7th and range line, taking a quick look there, and it looks all right. Heading over to the KDOT camera 69-400 along 171. So far, so good. And the MoDOT camera 32nd in range line in Joplin. Again, so far, so good. Things are moving right along. Temperatures, on the other hand, aren't going to start to move right along for a little bit. We're going to got at this cold start. 26 in Joplin, 23 in Pittsburgh. And like I said, these colors actually are kind of pretty. When they're blended together like this, unfortunately, they signal that it is quite cold. 18, Neodesha and Parsons. Those are the colder spots out there. Jay was a little warmer at about 30, I think, earlier. Now down to 29. So still the warm spot with Bentonville, both at 29. That's the thing there. That's the warm spot. Wind chills, though. Winds are going to gradually increase. So we're not dealing with significant wind chills yet. It is cold. We've got some teens out there. Neodesha and Chanute feels like it's 15. So it does feel cold. And our temperatures compared to this time yesterday, 40-degree difference for most of us. Look at Parsons. It is 41 degrees colder in Parsons right now than it was at this time yesterday morning. So we're talking a pretty big drop in temperatures. But again, like I said, don't worry, we will warm up. Heading through the morning, winds out of the south start increasing, and they'll be gusting upwards of about 30 miles an hour. So we could have a passing cloud or two, but otherwise just clear skies out there. So it will get nice, and our temperatures, again, will get mild, but not too quickly. It takes a second here. Kids, Last bus stop forecast of 2025 for you. 21 heading out the door. 45 lunch and recess. 52 as they head home. So again, just make sure you bundle up this morning because it is, again, it's cold out there. We'll go low 30s by 9, mid 40s by noon. We're looking at highs upper 40s and low 50s. So at or just a hair above normal. Again, with south winds though gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. And this temperature here, once we hit sunset, wherever you are at sunset, pretty much, temperatures stop moving ahead of another warm-up heading into Saturday. Details on that and next week's forecast in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Chris, thanks. A property tax crunch hits both sides of the state line this month. As the end of the year comes to a close, officials in Jasper County and Crawford County are reminding both Kansas and Missouri residents to pay their taxes. For Kansas residents, the first round of payments is due Monday, December 22nd. For residents in Missouri, the entire tax amount owed is due on December 31st by midnight. Well, the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas is launching a new pharmacy residency program to train and retain pharmacists in the rural areas. This postgraduate program is seeking accreditation from the American Society of Health System Pharmacists. Residents will get hands-on experience in patient care, specialty pharmacy, leadership, education, and administration, plus personalized mentorship to support their growth. As 2026 approaches, local business leaders face new challenges from cash management to succession planning. The biggest hurdle, keeping up with rapidly advancing technology and AI. KOAM's Kenny Foreman shows us one group is helping companies navigate these changes.
As 2026 approaches, there are a wide range of questions that business leaders are facing.
Cash management, retirement planning, looking at just how you're developing your business and where you're going to go. And then ultimately down the road, succession planning. What's my plan to exit the business, and what's the plan for the business after I leave, and then what's my personal plan to give me purpose to do things outside of the business.
What makes this upcoming year unique is the ever-growing role of technology, which is constantly seeing advancements.
Probably the biggest challenge now is trying to keep up. Technology moves really, really fast. And if you are not able to stay the course or even understand the new technology landscape, most likely you're going to get left behind.
One topic that businesses will have to think about going into 2026 is the role of AI. The common consensus today is that there is a space for it in business, provided it's utilized correctly.
There is something about experience, wisdom, and connection with people that people are still going to be looking for that. But it's a great productivity tool. So I think there's an opportunity for business to embrace it. How do we get better? How do we provide better solutions for our clients, but still take that through the human filter to make sure what AI is providing makes sense when it comes to advice?
It may all sound overwhelming, but Stronghold Data remains committed to helping others.
You Learn to Learn is for the community. It's for them to understand better their technology needs, understand that there is someone here in the community that they can turn to that can help them out.
In Joplin, Kenny Foreman, KOAM News.
Well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. 90% of young diners now seek tables where strangers become friends. Plus, Hollywood's biggest night will soon leave broadcast television after 100 years. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch, it may seem strange to be seated with a group of strangers at a restaurant, but an increasing number of younger diners are opting for communal tables where they can sit down and meet someone new. Gwen Baumgarten digs into the sometimes controversial culinary experience.
At LA's Republic restaurant, everyone is encouraged to pull up a seat next to a stranger.
It's always been successful for us.
Owner Walter Mansky incorporated this communal table 12 years ago as a space where diners can mix groups, meet new people, and share meals.
It's obvious to us that there's those that love the tables and love being, in the action and meeting others.
He says customers regularly call ahead to reserve a seat next to someone they don't know.
It seems to me like it's working. Everybody here is having a great time.
The proof is in the pudding, and the data too. A new survey by the restaurant reservation service Resy found that 90% of Gen Z diners enjoy communal tables, with 1 in 3 saying they made a friend in the process, and 1 in 7 saying it prompted a date.
The communal table is so hot right now.
That may seem counterintuitive for digital-loving Gen Z, but Resy's Paolo Lucchese believes young adults are grasping for something the phone can't provide, but a space like a restaurant can.
We go to connect with our communities, we go to connect with our friends, our family, and increasingly strangers.
Though it's not for everyone. Resy found only 60% of baby boomers enjoy the communal seating arrangement. Henry Elian finds the trend a bit unsavory for himself, but says maybe if he were younger.
I'm a dinosaur now, so it's a whole different world. But being able to go and sit down at a table and feel comfortable, but first of all, breaking the ice.
But after that barrier, perhaps breaking bread. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, many restaurants don't offer communal seating, but a representative from Resy believes that could change. Washington, D.C. has the highest percentage of diners at communal tables. Well, a big shift for Hollywood's biggest night. In just a few years, the Oscars will no longer be on Netflix network television. The show is headed to YouTube starting in 2029. Kelly O'Grady takes a look at the possible impact.
And the Oscar goes to?
It's one of the most iconic award shows in the world.
We have a very distinguished audience here tonight.
And for more than 70 years, it's been a fixture on American televisions.
Her. Again.
Reliably drawing tens of millions of viewers for a celebration of Hollywood, with some cinematic moments of its own. But starting in 2029, it'll be available for free worldwide, only on streaming giant YouTube. In a statement released Wednesday, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences said the deal would allow YouTube to show the ceremony through 2033, making the Oscars available to the platform's 2 billion viewers, as well as to subscribers on YouTube TV.
The truth is, this seems to be the way that most people are getting their content these days, so it's really a sign of the times.
Sports leagues like F1, UFC, and Major League Soccer have recently inked major streaming deals. And according to Nielsen, YouTube controls roughly 13% of television viewership in the U.S., the most of any streamer. Ratings for the Oscars have tumbled in recent decades, but putting the event on a streaming platform could reduce certain censorship and timing constraints.
There's a great unknown. We really don't know what this show is going to look like. I think they're all going to work together to put on the kind of show that we're pretty used to. It's just going to be, changing with the times and with the landscape.
Now, the financial terms of the deal have not yet been disclosed, though this could provide a sizable boost to YouTube's ad revenue potential. ABC's last year broadcasting the Oscars will be 2028, the 100th anniversary of the event. In a statement Wednesday, ABC said it was proud to host the show for more than half a century. Well, that's it for Consumer Watch, and now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, again, we've got a very cold start to the day. As I showed you earlier, we're nearly 40 degrees colder now than we were at this same time yesterday. However, we will gradually warm into the afternoon and into Saturday. We'll go over those details with you and break down the forecast for next week when we come back. Time now, 5:45.
Well, if you love cheese, some possible good news for you in today's Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. U.S. inflation decelerated unexpectedly last month. That's according to new numbers that were delayed by the government shutdown. Now, the Labor Department reporting that its consumer price index was up 2.7% in November from a year earlier. The report giving investors, businesses, and policymakers their first look at CPI since the September numbers were released. Consumer prices had risen 3% in September from a year earlier, and forecasters had expected the November CPI to match that. A new study says people who regularly ate high-fat cheese and cream had a lower risk of developing dementia. The 25-year Swedish study was conducted on nearly 28,000 people. It says those who consumed roughly a third of a cup of high-fat cheese every day showed a lower risk, but the study did not find a clear benefit from eating low-fat cheese, low-fat cream, or butter. The findings were published in the medical journal Neurology. And Chipotle is announcing its first ever high-protein menu. It will roll out in the U.S. next week. The menu features a cup filled with grilled adobo chicken that contains 32 grams of protein. In adding the menu items, Chipotle cited more than a third of its customers increasing their intake of protein in the past year, along with the rise of people taking GLP-1 medications. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or get updates over at agweb.com.
Now let's take it over to Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, I think we've already covered the benefits of cheese more than once, and this is just another benefit to cheese. Cheese lovers, unite, because there's good news for cheese. All right, so if you're heading out for cheese, this morning you don't need to worry about it because it's not going to melt in your car. Now, into next week it might, so yeah, don't leave the cheese behind. It is cold this morning. As I discussed earlier, we're about 40 degrees colder now than where we were 24 hours ago, but we will start to warm up. Heading through the morning, winds will pick up out of the south. They'll start gusting on us about 30 miles an hour, so not as intense as yesterday, but still breezy, especially for high-profile vehicles on any east-west highway. This is the third day in a row I have hit the wrong button on this. I don't know what's up. It's not a different remote. I'm just not hitting the right button. Okay, back to moving through time, not just skipping through the whole forecast. A few clouds out there, gusty south winds. In fact, the wind gusts will increase a bit as we go overnight, maybe pushing upwards of about 35 miles an hour or so. And we'll maintain those mostly clear skies through today into tonight. So, I mean, it's just a cloud here or there. And we go into Saturday. Now, Saturday, we've talked about it the last couple of days. We have a cold front coming through. By noon, it's roughly right along the I-44 corridor. Ahead of it, we'll have those gusty south winds at 30. Behind it, we'll have gusty north winds at 30. And here's the thing. You see the future track? There's really nothing out there. We've still got mostly clear skies, eventually becoming partly cloudy as we head later into the evening. And our temperatures, yeah, they're going to start to cool back, but they're not going to plummet or anything. In fact, our overnight lows Saturday into Sunday will still be a bit above average, even though that cold front comes through. Sunday, we're starting out with some partly cloudy skies, and eventually we'll go mostly cloudy. And ultimately, late evening on Sunday, say after about 8 o'clock or so, we could get an isolated shower too. I think the big thing is really we're just going to start to go mostly cloudy after about 7, 8 o'clock Sunday evening, but we could get an isolated shower or two out there, so nothing too significant, nothing too widespread, but at least some of us might see brief moments of rain. For this morning, we'll warm up nicely, especially as those south winds begin to increase out there. So we're going to start in the mid-20s, going into the low 40s by 11 o'clock this morning. And again, a mix of clear to mostly clear skies, so just a few clouds out there. And we're going to go into the upper 40s, low 50s across the region. So many of us, especially our northern counties, probably be right about normal. Others that reach the low 50s, I mean, we're not going significantly above normal, at least not today. And as I mentioned, too, south winds gusting to about 30. Now, this is not broken. This is not it getting confused or stuck or whatever the case may be. This is actually what's expected. Now, your actual results may vary. Our northern counties, is you get a little cooler, so it may be 43. Down south, it may be 48. But we're going to level out after sunset, and temperatures just hold steady. I mean, they might go up, 47 to 44, 45, 46. They might bounce around just a wee bit, but they will otherwise stabilize, and we'll have those south winds gusting to 35. We just kind of flatten out. And that also helps set the stage for the warmer temperatures tomorrow as we go upper 50s, low 60s. Still breezy, both ahead of and behind that front, down to the mid-30s. So that's what I would say. Yeah, we cool off. In fact, we'll be colder tomorrow night than we will be tonight, but we're still above normal. We go to the low 50s for Sunday. Again, an isolated evening shower or two possible. Back into the low 40s. And then next week, it's not going to feel like Christmas whatsoever as we start climbing. And that's, you're seeing 75 for Christmas Eve. 75. We're talking upper 60s, low 70s for Christmas Day, so a very mild Christmas week for us. But again, if you're traveling, at least the roads will be clear. That's the one plus, and kids can go play with their toys on Christmas Day or whatever they get. It's just not going to feel very seasonable. That's your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
There's some redundancy in tracking Santa this year. The Missile Defense Agency at Redstone Arsenal near Huntsville, Alabama, will track his sleigh on Christmas Eve. Usually the agency concentrates on monitoring for ballistic missiles. It says it will use that same tech to track Santa through Rudolph's glowing red nose. That's pretty similar to how NORAD has been doing it for the past 70 years. Well, meet Hal Yook. Santa is getting a little help from a 100-year-old California man. Not only is he 100 years old, but he makes wooden toys completely by hand. He spends all year making all sorts of toys, from ducks and cars to dinosaurs and noisemakers. Then each year for the holidays, he opens up his workshop in his garden garage to sell his creations. This year, he says he's having his busiest year ever. He'll stay open through this weekend.
Well, talk about an incredible act there, having to put together all those toys and be 100, you know what I mean? Like, that's impressive.
But you can tell he loves it.
Certainly, you could certainly tell that, and he's putting a lot of heart and soul into all that. Now, the only other concern I have with missile tracking and Santa is, AI and stuff. I don't know how well it's integrated into things. What if it mistakes Santa for a missile? I don't think it should.
I think they have some pretty good. Santa's magic is going to make sure that they know. That's Rudolph.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Santa does have some pretty powerful magic,
yes,
so I don't think we have to worry. But AI sometimes gets things wrong. It does happen. It's not always perfect. And our forecast is not always perfect either. It's December. It's supposed to be, cold. There's maybe some snow here and there. In the 4 states, white Christmases are quite rare around here, but we're supposed to at least have something winter-like, and that's not going to happen. Now, today, we're pretty winter-like. We're starting in the mid-20s. We'll go low 40s by 11, our highs today, into the upper 40s and low 50s. South winds gusting upwards of 30 with mostly clear skies. We're mostly clear through the evening. Temperatures level out. It's not a mistake there. Into the mid-40s. South winds start gusting to 35 overnight, and we'll climb into the upper 50s, low 60s tomorrow. Cold front comes through. Gusty winds ahead and behind it, down to the mid-30s. Could get a late shower on Sunday. And then next week, that's what I'm talking about. Upper 60s, low mid-70s heading into Christmas. Let's check your forecast. Another hour of the KOAM Morning News up next.